One of the main reasons most people cannot understand debt is because of the traditional education system. School does not teach people to understand the language of money, making them job seekers. When you are in a job, you cannot use debt to reduce the taxes you pay, but the rich, whether large or small business owners, use interest debt to reduce their profit and therefore pay taxes. There are good and bad debts. If you have bad debt, it's best to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Credit card debt is bad debt, especially if you are a compulsive shopper. Student debt is also bad debt unless you are 100% committed to graduating and have a job that pays enough to cover the debt payments. So, what is good debt? Debt in terms of cash flow is what matters. Bad debt takes money out of your pocket, while good debt brings money into your pocket. Financial experts call debt good for a reason. This helps them earn more money. It simply means you need to invest money to make more money. But how do you get the money in the first place? I call it other people's money. Or, you can understand cash flow like this. If you have a house, it is not an asset, it is a liability. Even without debt payments, you have to spend money on fees, repairs, maintenance, and more, while you don't get any money back. But if you pay cash, invest in real estate and invest, you get a cash flow. That's an asset. This cash flow must exceed debt payments and other expenses. So you'll have money coming in instead of going out, and the same goes for a car or a boat. While most boats lose money, boats that are rented or invested in make money. The investment covers the original debt, leaving you with some money. Once you have more money to invest, you can expand your portfolio to multiple real estate properties and live off the cash flow without having to work for a salary. So, the bottom line is that not all debt is bad. You need to manage it carefully, know how to use it, and keep an eye on your cash flow. Minimize your fees. Fees are an outflow of money. They leave you with less money available to use however you want. But is there any way to avoid paying fees? No, I'm not suggesting tax evasion. I'm suggesting fee savings, and there's a big difference between the two. Tax evasion is illegal. It means you don't pay the taxes you owe. But fee savings are cool. It reduces the amount of fees you have to pay in the first place, so you pay less. To explain this, I first need you to understand the three types of income: ordinary income, which is salary; portfolio income, which is income from business and investments; and passive income. Business income is the most taxed due to the lack of tax benefits. Portfolio income is taxed at the highest level, but passive income is taxed at the lowest, thanks to the many tax exemptions allowed by the government. The biggest tax exemption to reduce tax income is paying interest on debt. While most people understand debt in only one way, I must highlight a lesser-known truth about debt. One of the main reasons most people cannot understand debt is because of the traditional education system. School does not teach people to understand the language of money, which makes them job seekers. And when you are in a job, you cannot use debt to reduce the taxes you pay, but the rich, whether large or small business owners, use interest debt to reduce their profit and therefore pay less taxes. They can pay up front, they have the money, but they still only pay to take advantage of the tax exemptions. You may wonder why leave the security of your job to take the risk of starting a business. The answer is that the job market is shrinking by the second, with autonomous vehicles and artificial intelligence making most jobs obsolete. With fewer and fewer jobs available, it's time to enter the business world. Exercise your brain. I am an inspiration to many people for a reason. I don't limit myself to ways of thinking that no longer work. I am always up to date with the present and the future. My secret mantra is to ask questions. I encourage you to do the same, which is why I suggest we don't follow the old-fashioned, exhausting traditional life path. Fail at school, get good grades, get a job, work hard, get out of debt, and invest in the market of work. While this path is great for many people who don't have an entrepreneurial mindset, it's not ideal for those who do. So, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you should ask questions and only follow what makes you feel. Nowadays, things are changing very fast. Not questioning the old way of life can be harmful. Even though the job market is emptying, if we look beyond our surroundings, we can find opportunities everywhere. We live in a globalized world, and therefore we do not need to limit our opportunities to what is available in our country. We all have phones and internet connections, but do we know how to use them to make ourselves stronger? If we have a cell phone, most people would say no. This is why our brains are conditioned to avoid risks or question what exists. If we have a cell phone, we can connect with anyone in the world. We can offer our skills from a low-cost country and earn a salary from higher-paying countries. Suppose the average American earns $50 per hour, but you can do the same job for $5 per hour. Employers will come from all sides. $5 per hour is much more than the $0 per hour you would get in your country, leaving you with enough salary to start many other sources of passive income. All it takes is to invest the initial time and effort to establish yourself and continue learning new skills that people are willing to pay for. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Most see mistakes as something negative, but for an entrepreneur, making mistakes and learning from them is the key to becoming rich. Another thing we all need to develop is that mistakes are not bad and failure is out of the question. A baby learns to walk by getting up and falling, and the same goes with any business. No business becomes profitable overnight. It's only after you get into business and make your own mistakes that you learn what works and what doesn't. We have countless examples before us. Jeff Bezos once said he had no idea what he was doing when he started Amazon. Elon Musk's SpaceX failed 3 launches before succeeding in the 4th. I inspire you to learn from these examples. Making mistakes is the only way to learn how to play the game. When you take big risks or go into something new, you are bound to make mistakes. But not learning from your mistakes becomes a problem. If you make a mistake once, it might not cost you much. But if you make the same mistake over and over again, you will end up falling behind. Before there was even money, people still exchanged value. They exchanged or negotiated with each other. So if you had a box of rice and I had a pair of shoes, we could exchange them directly without using money. But what if you wanted to buy a dress, for example? Notice how difficult it was to find a buyer and a seller, both with the products they wanted to exchange. This is why money was created. However, this was not the end. With money, the inherent concept of perceived value was introduced, and we still use this concept every day. Money has value because we as humans perceive it to be valuable. Perhaps because it is of limited quality. If we value something more, we are willing to pay more for it. And this is where the difference between entrepreneurial thinking and employee thinking arises. Employees seek money while employers seek value. So if we want to get rich quick, we need to think more about how we can create value rather than just chasing more money. Identifying pain points and offering solutions to those problems is key to attracting people. We need to identify problems that need to be solved and find ways to solve them. This is how we end up creating value. Most successful entrepreneurs have done the same, developing billion-dollar solutions to big real-world problems. The bigger the problem we solve, the more value we create, the more money we make. I assert that there is no single correct investment strategy. Our strategy must adapt to ever-changing times and uncertain economic phases, like the post-pandemic world we live in. Understanding the global economy is crucial, and our financial decisions must evolve as money changes. As we all know, initially, money was backed by gold, but later the US dollar became the reserve currency, and in 1971, US President Richard Nixon completely eliminated the convertibility of gold. The world has entered an all-fiat reserve regime, inflating the US dollar and making it the strongest reserve currency in the world. People who held US dollars became much richer overnight. According to economists, the world economy changes drastically every 50 years. Knowing this helps us make the right investment decisions at the right time. Following the pandemic, the global economy is experiencing a recessionary shift. Investors are directing their money into safe assets such as gold to avoid value erosion. If enough investors decide they want physical gold, we will see a surge in gold that will be incredible. So until now, our financial decisions need to be oriented towards preserving our wealth in safe assets rather than investing in riskier assets like stock markets. Debt is considered a double-edged sword. This one instrument can make you super rich, but it can also lead you to ruin. Now, I want to show you how the rich use debt to increase their wealth and how debt can be a powerful force that drives all of your dreams and efforts. The rich built empires. The debt story is not new. Dates back to the 1800s when Rockefeller began his business. Costing $400 billion today, Rockefeller was not born rich, being the son of a farmer and a regular at school. He became the richest American in history, surpassing Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk combined. Rockefeller was never an exemplary student, as school did not prepare him to get a job. As an assistant accountant, he learned about the world of business in a practical way, realizing that he could generate great wealth with the initial capital. He started a small business trading agricultural commodities using just $1,000 borrowed from his father. This was his first debt, but it provided a solid foundation in business. Within 2 years, he was generating profits of $17,000. At that time, the oil industry was booming, and Rockefeller brought innovation by using gasoline instead of oil to extract kerosene. Resulting in a significant reduction in costs, these innovative techniques gained the trust of banks and suppliers, who began to offer more favorable conditions. This is how Rockefeller changed the game, strategically using money to acquire smaller competitors and create a monopoly in the oil sector. This monopoly allowed him to obtain massive discounts and transport oil at lower rates, consolidating his fortune in the 1870s. This son of a farmer became a millionaire at the age of 31 with his company, Standard Oil, refining 90% of the oil in the U.S. The most notable thing about Rockefeller was his practice of always paying his debts on time, but not hesitating to take them on when he saw opportunities for growth. The rich don't get it, even though everyone has heard about billion-dollar mansions, expensive cars, and luxurious vacations. The lesser-known fact is that the rich don't pay for all of this with their salaries. In 2021, Elon Musk revealed the secret behind his luxurious lifestyle in a tweet. "I only have money. The only way I can pay for personal expenses is to sell money." Musk does not receive a salary, but he owns Tesla shares worth billions of dollars that he does not sell. He uses these shares as collateral to obtain loans and lives off this debt. Debt offers Musk dual benefits. First, it avoids paying taxes, as debt, when paid with money, does not generate taxes, allowing you to diversify your money as you wish. Second, by not selling his Tesla shares, he avoids paying capital gains taxes. Musk uses his business as collateral to obtain loans, known as a secured line of credit. If he gets a loan with a 6% interest rate, he needs to ensure that Tesla's value grows by at least 6%. When he needs to repay the debt, he obtains another loan using the same business as collateral and pays off the first loan. This cycle allows Musk to maintain his desired lifestyle. Rich people love real estate. While ordinary people struggle to buy a house, the rich buy multiple properties across the world. Surprisingly, they don't live in these houses alone, despite having billions. Resulting in a significant reduction in costs, these innovative techniques gained the trust of banks and suppliers, who began to offer more favorable conditions. This is how Rockefeller changed the game, strategically using money to acquire smaller competitors and create a monopoly in the oil sector. This monopoly allowed him to obtain massive discounts and transport oil at lower rates, consolidating his fortune in the 1870s. This son of a farmer became a millionaire at the age of 31 with his company, Standard Oil, refining 90% of the oil in the United States. The most notable thing about Rockefeller was his practice of always paying his debts on time, but not hesitating to take them on when he saw opportunities for growth. The rich don't get everything. While everyone has heard about billion-dollar mansions, expensive cars, and luxurious vacations, the lesser-known fact is that the rich don't pay for it all with their salaries. In 2021, Elon Musk revealed the secret behind his luxurious lifestyle in a tweet. "I only have money. The only way I can pay for personal expenses is to sell money." Musk does not receive a salary, but he owns Tesla shares worth billions of dollars, which he does not sell. He uses these shares as collateral to obtain loans and lives off this debt. Debt offers Musk dual benefits. First, it avoids paying taxes, as debt, when paid with cash, does not generate taxes, allowing him to diversify his money as he wishes. Second, by not selling his Tesla shares, avoids paying taxes on capital gains. Musk uses the business as collateral to obtain loans, known as a secured line of credit. If he gets a loan with a 6% interest rate, he needs to ensure that Tesla's value grows at least 6%. When he needs to pay off the debt, he gets another loan using the same business as collateral and pays off the first loan. This cycle allows Musk to maintain his desired lifestyle. Rich people love real estate. While ordinary people struggle to buy a house, the rich buy multiple properties across the world. Surprisingly, they don't live in these houses alone, despite having billions. They buy properties worth millions. Elon Musk, for example, spent $61 million to buy 5 homes in California in 2018. The real estate game works like this. Suppose you find a property worth $1 million. You pay 80% of the amount with borrowed money and 20% with your own investment. If your net income from the property is greater than the costs, you can rent without investing your own money. This strategy allows the wealthy to expand their real estate portfolio and increase their wealth. The best part about this income is that you won't have to pay taxes on it. This is because you can adjust the depreciation on your property each year. Depreciation is not a real expense that involves an outlay of money. It's an assumed depreciation that represents the rental cost that you are legally allowed to deduct from your income. Following the context of my country, the United States, the rich don't mix things up. When Elon Musk decided to acquire Twitter, he invested $13 billion, even with a net worth close to $200 billion. This may seem counterintuitive to some people because when you have $250 billion, you could safely spend $13 billion. However, there was a lot of thought put into investing this money. These investments are known as purchase agreements or LBO, leverage buyout. In an LBO, the money invested is backed by the assets of the acquired company, which in this case was Twitter. Thus, investors inject money in the expectation that the acquired company will be profitable and their future cash flows will cover the investment. Musk acquired Twitter not only because he saw it as another profitable business, but also as a way to promote social change and ensure freedom of expression. However, this also means that Musk has his doubts about Twitter's profitability. Therefore, using debt makes even more sense. If Twitter is profitable, Elon will benefit significantly. However, if Twitter fails, Elon's risk is limited to the equity he has in the company. Investors cannot demand that Elon pay the debt personally. They can only recoup their investment by selling Twitter's assets. Only time will tell whether these assets will be enough to pay off the entire debt or not. However, by investing this amount, Elon ensured that his personal assets were protected and that all of his businesses maintained their separate legal entity. Investors cannot force Elon to sell the $94 billion shares of Twitter and Tesla, and he can still continue to live his luxurious life. Rich people like to acquire assets and hold them for eternity. They appreciate passing these assets on to their future generations and understand that the value of these assets is destined to grow. Therefore, they prefer to keep their family debt-free. However, that doesn't mean they would pass up any multi-billion-dollar investment opportunity that came along. While their own resources are invested in assets and liquids, they generate liquidity through debt and take advantage of profitable business opportunities. In April 2023, Mukesh Ambani, chairman of Reliance Industries, paid the highest tax in Indian corporate history. Mr. Ambani disbursed $5.5 billion to boost the rollout of 5G in the country. However, $5.5 billion represents only a small part of its total value of $82 billion. He owns a residence in Antillia valued at $2 billion and properties around the world. By combining just a few of these properties, he could have easily financed the 5G rollout without resorting to debt. However, he chose to pay as he wanted to leave a legacy for his 3 children, Ash, Anant and Eka. With the potential to account for 2% of India's GDP by 2030, the implementation of 5G could result in economic growth of $180 billion. No one understands this better than telecom giant Mr. Ambani. Therefore, giving up such an important opportunity due to lack of liquidity is not a decision one would expect from him. It preferred to pay now and reap the benefits of 5G in the future, rather than allow other telecommunications companies to capture its market. In 2012, when Mark Zuckerberg bought a house, he got a tax rate of just 1.05%. At the same time, the average property tax rate was 2.76%. If you're wondering how Zuckerberg got that tax rate, you should know that the house cost $15.6 billion at the time, and the banks had no doubt he would pay it back. Due to the low risk associated with Zuckerberg's income, banks were able to minimize the tax amount for him. It is well known that the higher the dollar or credit amount, the lower the tax rate for you. However, many people forget to analyze the details of the Zuckerberg agreement. First, he immediately moved into the house he loved and will continue to live there until he feels comfortable. Secondly, he invested his own money in more substantial ventures, providing him with large profits even after paying the interest on the debt. Third, he spread property tax payments out over 30 years when the actual value of those payments would be just a fraction of the current value due to inflation. Therefore, without locking up his capital, he took advantage of high-return opportunities, postponed expenses, and reduced his expenses to an inflation-adjusted fraction. Subscribe for more videos about personal finance, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel.